So you want to know the 10 reasons why maybe you shouldn't move to Oakland? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's get to it. Welcome to the Living in Oakland, California channel. I'm Fleming, your local realtor, and I'm here to teach you everything you need to know about living, working, playing, sleeping, eating, whatever in Oakland and the rest of the San Francisco East Bay. I get a ton of people who reach out to me with questions about what it's like to live here, how to transition here, what they need to know before they get here, and I absolutely love it. That is why I do these videos. I have moved places completely blind and not known anything or any bodies. So I understand the challenges you're facing. So if you got any questions, you know what to do. Drop me a text, give me a call, send me an email, whatever works for you. Because when it comes to helping you transition to Oakland and the rest of the San Francisco East Bay, I got your back. So in today's video, I'm going to tell you the 10 reasons why you may not want to move to Oakland, California. And you guys know, if you've watched any of my videos, I love Oakland. I live in Oakland. I absolutely think Oakland gets a bad rap in the media most of the time, and it has so much good to offer. But it is not a perfect place. There are things about Oakland that may not work for everybody. So let's talk about 10 reasons why you may not want to move to Oakland, California. So I have prioritized these according to my own standards, and I'm going to go from 10 to 1. So let's jump into that number 10 reason you may not want to move to Oakland. So let's talk about that number 10 reason that Oakland may not be for you, and that's traffic. So if you live in the San Francisco East Bay and you want to drive to San Francisco, chances are you will have to cross the San Francisco Bay Bridge to get there. Now, there are a couple of alternatives to that bridge, a couple of other bridge alternatives, but that is the primary artery to get to and from San Francisco. And the entrance to that bridge from the East Bay is located in Oakland. So essentially, every freeway in the East Bay heads towards this bridge, and they all go through Oakland. So there are 5 major freeways in the area that all end up at the San Francisco Bay Bridge. And those freeways are Highway 80, which is actually the designation for the Bay Bridge. That highway actually runs north-south through Oakland, Berkeley, and all the way to Solano County and heads off towards Sacramento. Then there is Highway 580, there is Highway 880, there's Highway 13, and then there's Highway 24. So all of those highways feed into the Bay Bridge. Now, Highway 880 takes you to the western part of Alameda County and into Santa Clara County towards San Jose. Highway 580 takes you to the eastern part of Alameda County. Highway 24 takes you to the central and eastern parts of Contra Costa County. And then Highway 13 is kind of a diagonal highway that runs between 580 and Highway 24. Essentially, all these highways feed through Oakland, and they receive traffic from the entire East Bay as people head towards San Francisco. So at rush hour, the traffic, especially on the freeways, can be quite formidable in Oakland. Now, fortunately, most of the surface streets don't really suffer the same level of congestion that the highways do, but if you're trying to drive around rush hour in Oakland, it's going to be tough. So the number 9 reason that Oakland may not be for you is shopping, or the lack thereof. Now, Oakland is a city of over 400,000 people, yet it lacks a lot of significant large national retailers. Oakland really focuses a lot on offering small retailers an opportunity to thrive and do business in the city. However, there are times where me, and I'm assuming most people, do want the convenience of a large retailer. So if you're looking for a Target or many other retailers, Pottery Barn, Apple Store, that is lacking in Oakland. If you want an Apple Store, you have to go to Walnut Creek or Emeryville. There is one Target, which is relatively small, and it is actually relatively new in Oakland. The only two large retailers in Oakland, there is a Home Depot and there's a Walmart, and neither of those are conveniently located for a large number of people in the city. So if you're looking for shopping convenience, especially depending on where you're living, Oakland may not be it for you. So the number 8 reason Oakland may not be for you, public transportation. So as I mentioned earlier, Oakland's a fairly large city, over 400,000 people. I don't want to say it doesn't have public transportation. It actually has pretty good public transportation. It has a lot of BART stations, which is our regional train system. Its bus coverage is kind of spotty though. So depending on where you live in the city, you may have pretty good access to bus coverage, which is provided by AC Transit, or you can have almost non-existent bus coverage. So if you're coming from a city like New York or Chicago where public transit is pretty available, you have to make some adjustments in Oakland. You're not going to have that same access to public transportation that you might be used to in some other parts of the country. The number 7 reason Oakland may not be for you, schools. Now, Oakland has had its ups and downs with its school district, and Oakland has made significant strides in improving that school district. But one of the key and ongoing challenges that that school district faces is financial. And one of the reasons that is claimed for that is a significant number of students in Oakland attend charter schools. So it is estimated almost 30% of all students in Oakland attend a charter school, which takes funding away from the unified school district. So it has its ups and downs, it has its budget crises, and that can make it very challenging. I always encourage people when looking at schools, don't just go online and believe the school evaluation or rating websites. A lot of that is based on, to my understanding, test scores, which does not tell the entire story. So really do your homework on the public schools and the charter schools and the private schools available in Oakland. The number 6 reason Oakland may not be for you, socioeconomic segregation. And this is not unique to Oakland by any stretch of the imagination. This occurs throughout the country in almost every city in the United States, and Oakland is not immune to this challenge. Oakland is known as one of the most diverse cities in the US, ethnically, religiously, and so on, but it is still very segregated based on your socioeconomic status. So if that is something that you're very sensitive to, maybe Oakland isn't for you. It has areas that are extremely economically privileged, and it has areas that are extremely economically deprived. So just be aware of that if you're considering moving to Oakland. So the number 5 reason not to move to Oakland, city transfer tax. So if you're looking to buy a home here in Oakland, be aware that when you purchase that home, at closing, you will have to pay a one-time tax equivalent to 1.5% of the purchase price of the home. So essentially, if you were to buy $1 million home here in Oakland, you would pay $15,000 as a city transfer tax that goes to the city of Oakland. That is not even including your other standard closing cost. So you gotta wrap that in if you're planning to buy here in Oakland. I love the city, but it is an onerous tax. The only other cities with taxes nearly this high are Berkeley, which has about the same tax strategy, and San Francisco. So just be aware of that one. So the number 4 reason not to move to Oakland, well, it's related to the 5th reason, the cost of housing and the overall cost of living here. So if you're looking to move to Oakland and buy a home, the average home in Oakland costs about 3 times as much as the average home in the United States does. So if I recall correctly, the average home in the US is going for about $310,000, $320,000 right now. If you were to buy a home in Oakland, the average price is going to be somewhere between $900,000 and $1 million. And you also have to consider that the space you're going to get inside the home and the size of the lot you're going to get for that same money is significantly less than you get in other parts of the country. So you just have to set your expectations if you're going to purchase a home here. So the number 3 reason Oakland may not be for you, it's politics. And there are 2 aspects of this one. One is if you lean towards political conservatism, Oakland is almost certainly not for you. It is a very liberal / progressive city. So if that makes you uncomfortable or you don't like that, you may not like Oakland. The second aspect of it, and this aspect exists in many, if not most / all cities, is that in my view, the politicians often cater to such a minority but vocal group that it can be very difficult to get anything done. Essentially, minority group is not on board the entire process, which may benefit, the vast majority of the city, can often come to a screeching halt. That isn't unique to Oakland, as I said, but it definitely happens here, and it can definitely kind of drive you crazy at times. The number 2 reason not to move to Oakland, it's challenges with homelessness. And this comes in a couple of different aspects, just like the previous challenge. First is the reasons for homelessness. Oakland is an extremely expensive city to live in, and the price of housing, both the purchase housing and more importantly, rental costs, have gone up significantly in recent years. And as those costs have gone up, in many cases much faster than people's incomes, especially at the lower end of the socioeconomic spectrum, you see more and more people that have been pushed into homelessness. The city has started to make strides to make sure there's more affordable housing available, but it has still got a long way to go in this area. The second aspect of this is, what is the city doing to try and help people get off the street? Well, for a long time, it really wasn't doing much of anything. It's only been in the last year or 2 that they're making efforts to create tiny houses and other types of alternative housing options available to help people transition from living on the streets to more stable housing. There's still room to work here. That number 1 reason you may not want to move to Oakland, well, it's the one that people most often associate with Oakland: crime. Now, if you look at most of the crime statistic websites or list of the most dangerous cities in the United States, Oakland usually shows up somewhere between number 25 and number 30 in the country for major cities. And it is a fact that crime is a challenge in Oakland. Now, violent crime in Oakland is primarily concentrated in a few areas of the city, and this is typical for most cities. It is not a case where the entire city is infested with violent crime on a constant basis. Now, property crime, primarily in the form of car break-ins, is unfortunately very widespread throughout the city. If you park on the streets, chances are sooner or later your car is going to get broken into. So it is a challenge the city is working on. It is a challenge that you do need to be aware of. And if you have any concerns about your personal safety or the area that you might be choosing to live in Oakland, then maybe Oakland isn't for you. But take it with a grain of salt. There you have it, my top 10 list of reasons you may not want to move to Oakland, California. Now, if you have watched any of the rest of my videos, you know I love it here. I love living in Oakland. But it does have its challenges, just like every other city does, and you have to be aware of what those challenges are and make that decision for yourself. But if you have any questions about anything I shared in this video or any of my other videos, you know what to do. Give me a call, drop me a text, send me an email, whatever works for you, because when it comes to helping you move to Oakland and the rest of the San Francisco East Bay, I got your back. If you like this video, please hit that thumbs up button so YouTube knows to show it to other people with interests similar to your own. Hit that subscribe button and hit that bell notification so you know each and every time I drop a new video, and I will catch you in the next video.